Bums. It is Thursday night, October 13th. Let's roll with our free picks for the night. We're just going to continue this week of destruction of college football. We definitely have two great games tonight. One obviously is better than the other. It didn't take long for me to find the one I liked the best. And I had to dissect it quite a bit because I was being pulled one way, I was being pulled another way, and a lot of times that first gut instinct is what I jump on, and it's usually what I win on. So let me go with my game that I'm leaning on the most. So we've got Temple traveling to Central Florida. Now, my lean is on both the sides and the total because my best bet comes with the Baylor West Virginia game. And I like, for a lean, I like them both the same. I am leaning to the over 46, which it currently stands at. The reason it's not high, and it's not because of Temple's scoring issues. I mean, it does play a small part in it. But Central Florida boasts one of the best rushing attacks in all of college football, believe it or not. They're averaging a robust 251.6 yards per game, good for fourth in the country in FBS football. Temple has been fantastic against the pass. So something's got to give here, all right? But not so much when facing the ground game. So that's why Central Florida is going to have to use that rush game to take care of Temple. Temple's just they got a lot of cornerbacks that even deep into their team that are actually really good, which is surprising coming out of Temple. Now, the Knights should once again tonight run wild on the teams that they have been running wild on. The over has been the result in 4 of the last 5 meetings between these two schools. And the over 46 is probably, I think it's out of the last 5. It is the lowest actually. Yeah, it will come in as lowest because it was 47.5 2 years ago. So yeah, this is the lowest it's been. It's because of the running attack. They chop up a lot of minutes in this game. And it seems a little bit low. And if odd makers believe the Temple defense will continue to stand strong in this one, so be it. However, the Owls haven't faced an offense with this kind of explosiveness yet this season, which is probably one of the reasons their defense of numbers looks so good. The Owls obviously don't possess an offense capable of winning in a shootout. But if they can just get, on the board with much of really anything, then the total should be a clear lock. In fact, it might even if they don't. I really think Central Florida puts up basically all the points. If not, maybe see 3 to 10 points coming from Temple. And yeah, Central Florida will do most of the damage when it comes to the points tonight. Now I'm leaning also to UCF minus 23 over Temple. It's been bouncing around 23 and a half. Doesn't matter. I don't think it's a lock because of the running. But UCF comes into this riding a 3-game winning streak, powered behind some impressive play on the offensive ball, like we talked about with the total. The Knights amassed 40-plus points in 2 of those games. They've had at least 284 rushing yards in 2 of those as well. Their defense has also played outstanding with just allowing 14.6 points allowed. So that's why I just don't see Temple getting more than 10 points in this game. It all really comes down to UCF and what they're going to be able to put on the board. Do they cover that 23? I think they should. It shouldn't be a problem with that. Now, Temple's offense is totaled of just 3 points and 476 yards in their 2 road games. So that is scary when it comes to the total side of it. But for UCF in the minus 23, it's looking pretty good. UCF is also arguably the best opponent that Temple has faced this year so far, so they may not even get any points. Yet this team has already lost twice by 21 points. That's Temple. The Owls have now failed to cover in 7 of their last 8 contests on the road, while UCF is a solid 5-3 against the spread in their last 8 overall. Last year's meeting resulted in a 49-7 win for the Knights, and UCF has now come away victorious in 6 matchups. All those wins, but one, have come by at least 25 points. This meeting should see a similar outcome. Stick with the Knights minus 23. I mean, it does. It sounds like it should be a winner chicken dinner, but I just think this Baylor and West Virginia has a little more intrigue to it. The lean I have on the points, and this is, when I say lean, I mean this is lean at best. This number, in my opinion, is a tad too high, but the trends say different. But not by much. The number is pretty much dead nuts on, and that's 55. So I wouldn't drop too much down on this game, maybe half a unit at most. Despite these teams having both good defenses, they both have let up some points this season. Baylor only allows 20.3 points per game, but that number is skewed by the 2 FCS games that they played, and that's the problem when you handicap these college games. You gotta factor those in. And that's what really makes this tough sometimes. Baylor allows 28.6 points per game, the same amount as West Virginia, which faced a tougher out-of-conference schedule. These offenses, they know how to score. They both average more than 430 yards and 37 points per game. Both of these teams have hit the over in 3 of their 5 games that they have played this year. But again, we're dealing with FCS teams in there. And the head-to-head matchup has gone over in 6 of the last 10. It's not telling me much. And there's other trends out there that just, they don't tell me enough to really stick it to this play of this type of game. So if you're going to do it, I would take over 55. I think their defenses are that good that I don't think I don't know. I don't think we're going to see 60 points. So that 55 is about in the ballpark. 53 to 56 points, somewhere in there. I don't know. It's a tough one, but you're here for the best bet. And I think it's Baylor minus 3.5, even though they're going into West Virginia. Baylor has looked surprisingly good this season after most experts had it projected. They were expecting them to have a down year after winning the Big 12 last year. The Bears are coming off a heartbreaking loss to Oklahoma State at home last week, and that's why I think this number is kind of spooky. That hook always scares people. But Oklahoma State's no joke. I love the Cowboys. I think they're going to be one of the teams that are there in the end. I really do. They're going to have a big bowl year. I just like them. I love the Cowboys. Now, West Virginia has losses to Pitt and Kansas. Kansas is having an up year. Pitt, decent. But those were losses that probably they shouldn't have had. They weren't expected, but they're reasonable after seeing how good those teams have played this season. Now, the Mountaineers will get the Bears at home and look to get back to 500 on the season. These teams have looked very similar through the 5 weeks. Both have good offenses led by first-year quarterbacks who are performing well. Both have good defenses that are holding teams to fewer than 340 yards per game. Both have coaches who have had winning seasons in this conference. The difference is that Baylor has just been better at pretty much everything across the board. Not like night and day, but they have been better. They know how to win football games under their third-year head coach, Dave Aranda, who went 12-2 last season, despite having lost 2 games in 2022. They have looked competitive and had a chance to win every game that they have been in this season. The same can't be said for West Virginia, whose best season is 6 wins under head coach Neil Brown. West Virginia is 1-5 against the spread in their last 6 games against Big 12 opponents, and that plays that. I mean, you gotta consider that when you're putting these bets out there. West Virginia is what they are, 2-3. Baylor's 3-2. There's reasons why they are where they're at. And I just think across the board, Baylor is the better team, and I think they'll win by a touchdown to 10 points, somewhere in there. And it's going to – I know it might come – this could be a – you could be chewing your fingernails and watching this one. It could go back and forth. But I think in the end, you're going to see West Virginia heading down the field, not to get a field goal, but to get a touchdown to make it a game, which means that 3.5 points has been surpassed. I don't think they'll be coming down to tie the game. It's going to be one of those like, oh, wow, that was – but I just think it's the best bet on the board. 23 points with Central Florida is a lot. They should be able to do it without a problem. On paper, you're like, well, this is a no-brainer, but we've seen crazy things happen. I just think this one is – Baylor is the better team, and – West Virginia is going to see that tonight. I think we see Baylor at 4-2 rolling along, and West Virginia is just, falling behind at 2-4. So let's go with that tonight, and let's roll into this. We had the Marshall, Louisiana game under last night. Let's just continue this winning streak. Baylor minus 3.5. Put a nice solid unit on this game. Love it. Have a good night, and let's cash those tickets. I'll see you tomorrow morning.